Hey guys, it's Gotay here. Before we start off the video, I want to ask any of you if you have any stories of your own, please do not hesitate to send me them via my personal email, which will be in the description below. If you're not subscribed, please do that, as well as drop a like or a comment if you have any questions at all. But without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy these creepy wartime stories. I served in the military here in Finland, as required by law, and there's this guy who chain smoked a lot, and we called him Storskin, Swedish for chimney. His father had killed his mom and then hung himself while Storskin was young, so it was a little bit messed up. Scoreston was kind of depressed, but he got along with everyone, and we were good friends. Then, 5 years after we got out, I get a message from my army friend who says that Scoreston had hung himself because his girlfriend had left him for another guy. I've accepted that. There was nothing I could have done, but it still haunts me. Sometimes when I go out for a smoke, I still remember how he would ask me for a cigarette because he had misplaced his own. So I light a cigarette for him and place it on the side of the ashtray. That's my way of remembering him. I lived in a safe house in the Cabal Green Zone a couple of years ago, working on ISAF HQ, but moving throughout Cabal every day. The street from my compound to ISAF was filled with pedestrian traffic and these kids who would try to sell foreigners whatever trinkets they could. I got to know them very well since I was there almost every day. I got them clothes for winter, random snacks from the chow hall, and we played Angry Birds together. They spoke with me, brought me scarves I asked for, and little gifts every once in a while. They also kept the other peddlers away. One day a kid, about 12 to 14 years old, from elsewhere came to the area with a bomb in his backpack. His intentions was to kill any foreigners that were moving in that area, or target one of our compounds. The local kids noticed him and apparently told him to get lost, and he detonated the bomb. 4 kids were killed, along with the bomber, and a couple of adults. A dozen or so were injured as well. I knew each one of those kids. Kushi was a little girl who was learning to skate. Nawab, who, in my view of things, looked to have a hard crush on one of the other girls who was killed. Another boy had a brother a year or so older who looked just like him. I saw the one killed and saw the other one a week later, trying to sell things again. It freaks me out. I was at that side of the bombing not 30 minutes before I felt it while inside ISAF. Seeing the bodies after was a mistake. I didn't need to be there. I walked by the site every day until I left that base. The night of the attack, I could still smell blood and the damp smell of wet cabal dust mixed together. Every day I went by, I could see their bodies and the surrounding gore in my head. I've seen the aftermath of VB IEDs in Iraq where hundreds of people were killed, but something about knowing those faces so well, kids that would have done well if not born in such a backward shithole of a country. It didn't help that right after, my ex told me I deserved to see those things since I chose to be there again. I'm sorry for rambling, but I'm not sure which aspects of it all to tell. I haven't told anyone this entire story, as it isn't something I'm comfortable talking to people about face to face, but I feel it's probably something people should know, and think about at least. So, I was deployed to a place called the Triangle of Death in Iraq, in a little town called Yasafaya. We had been there for 6 months with a lot of intense fighting and were set to rotate to southern Iraq in a much less active spot. We were set to be replaced by the 502nd IR, part of the 101st Airborne Division. They had been a large part of the initial invasion of Iraq against Saddam's forces, but this was 2005 and was a much, much different war. When you transition units in the military, there is a period of time where you integrate, where you show the incoming unit your current operations. I happened to be at an outpost by one or two remaining bridges across the Euphrates River when this all started. We tried to caution them, show them the ropes, but they didn't want to listen to any of us. They kept saying that we have a destiny, along with other hyper-aggressive statements that made no sense. They didn't even seem to see the Iraqis as human beings. They were just like, yeah, we're gonna fuck this place up and fuck them up as well. Rape, kill, pillage, and burn. Hoorah! Idiots. Across the street from this particular outpost was a Iraqi guy and his family who owned the small farm around this outpost. They had been really good to us, pointing out IEDs on roads as well as running and grabbing us food and supplies when they couldn't get any. For example, our supply truck was destroyed by an IED one time, so all we had were MREs to eat. We talked to the farmer and he gave us a shopping list and money and he brought us food at the local marketplace. He was a great guy and did stuff like that for us all the time. We took the 502nd guys on a foot patrol, and the farmer came out of his house, greeting us as he usually did, making his way towards us. We waved and started to talk to him. When he went to shake the hand of one of the 502nd privates, the private just hauled off and punched him in the mouth, shouting, "Fucking sand nigger." These guys were severely messed up in the head. Our platoon sergeant restrained him and sent him back to the outpost with my sergeant and I to escort him while he tried to placate the farmer. We took that private to his sergeant, who congratulated him, believe it or not. When our platoon sergeant got back, he tore them a new one, but they didn't seem to care. I wasn't privy to the conversation between my platoon sergeant and his, but it didn't seem to have any impact either. Their attitude persisted until we finally left to our new location. The 502nd guys ended up murdering that family a few months after we left and ended up raping his daughter. As if that wasn't enough, a few months prior to this, I had been injured when my truck rolled over during a firefight. I was the gunner, maybe 200 meters from where the killings took place. I had to be medevaced to Baghdad, where I recovered for a few weeks. When the truck rolled over, I lost my wallet in the dirt out there in what we called the Iraqi moon dust, which is a type of powdery silt that you find everywhere. Flash forward to a week or two after the killings took place. I received a package from Sergeant Green. It's my wallet, mailed March 12, 2006, the same day as the killings. I recognize it's highly unlikely it happened just like this, but I can't help but wonder if they found my wallet on their way to commit the murders or if they mailed it back just before it happened. I'm not a religious person, I'm an atheist, but I'd like to think it was perhaps the universe's way of trying to remind me of the golden rule. Treat people with respect and like human beings. It's all people ever want. I still have that wallet. I've had it ever since high school. It's an old Calvin Klein leather wallet that my sister gave me. It reminds me of that farmer and his family. I can't help but wonder if maybe we had been more focused on getting our message across to the 502nd group, this all could have been avoided. Maybe we were in too much of a hurry to leave to safer territory that we ended up neglecting something that might have made a difference. We even had the option to stay and volunteer in Yestavaya with the 502nd if we wanted, but I declined. Not out of fear of combat, as I was comfortably numb to it at that point, but because I just wanted to go relax and was homesick. It makes me think that I could have made a difference, but didn't because of something simplistically selfish. It's probably silly to think that and perhaps a bit cliche, but it is what I think. This story still haunts me the most. I remember the fear in the eyes of a little girl who came around the corner and into the line my .50 caliber was pointed in, and her mom coming around after her, and they both froze and just stared at me in terror. I elevated the gun, waved them past, and tried to smile to show them that it was okay, but I remember the little girl's fear, and I thought of my own daughter feeling that way, and it tore me up. It still does. I pointed my weapon at a lot of people, but the girl stays with me. I know other veterans have been through and done worse. And shit, I saw worse myself, but that little girl always has stayed with me. I took part in 78 separate attacks from hostile forces around Mosul in 2005. Lots of bad shit, but the one thing I never share is that one time I was in the turret of an M1114 Humvee behind an M250 machine gun, doing convoy security, and I looked in a vehicle as we cruised by, and there was a little girl, probably 8, who had a healed up gunshot wound to the face. She was missing one of her eyes. She was smiling broadly at me and waved at me empathetically. I just waved back. The little girl had the weight of the world on her shoulders, but was smiling. I've never had a bad day since. There was also a kid that was cut deep to where his thumb was barely hanging onto his hand. I was in the turret again that day, and the kid ran alongside the truck, making a wrapping motion with his hand. I tried to get my first aid pouch open so I could throw him my sterile bandage to wrap up his hand, but the old button, Vietnam-era piece of shit, wouldn't come unsnapped. The little dude ran next to us for about a minute while I fucked with it. Finally, I just slipped the Alice clips, tugged it off my vest, and tossed the whole thing to him. He was smiling the whole time too and was very happy for the packet. It's like, fuck man, we really fucked shit up over there. Why couldn't we have just done more really good stuff instead of escorting Commander Douchebag and the whole fucking PR team to the school just so they could get some fucking photo ops with the poor kids to put in the newspaper back home? Dumb as shit. The thing that will stick with me forever is this one. Back in 2010, northwest of Sangwan, Afghanistan, I was the corpsman for my group of 4 Marines. We specialized in JTACs, guys who called in aircraft, and we supported the Georgian Army in creating a new patrol base. We got to the area where the base is going to be built, sand walls, FTW, and camp out in our trucks until the bulldozers finished building the walls and filling up HESCO barriers. Around the second day, near noon, we hear an explosion and see in the distance a large smoke cloud. We radioed in to see if there was any friendly forces near the area, but no coalition forces were near us. We then mount up to go check it out, and as we near the site, we see 2 adult figures running around a van that hid an IED. As we pull up, there's a 6-passenger Afghan van that looks like it hid an IED. The van was demolished, charred, and the engine was on fire. As we dismount, the 2 male adults run to us. This freaked us out because they might be insurgents, but our interpreter was there and told us that they were brothers asking for help because one of the brothers had 4 daughters in the van with them when they hit the IED. We rushed to the van and there is still smoke everywhere, but we start pulling out the rear driver door and I can hear one of the daughters still screaming inside. As we pry the door open, we look inside and I will never forget what I saw. Inside was all charred to a crisp. Smoke was still coming out of the van, and in the seats was what remained of the 4 daughters. 3 of the daughters were torn apart by the explosion, with limbs and body parts everywhere. The 4th was still holding one of her sister's amputated hands, while her other hand was pressed on her side. The blast had amputated her lower left leg, going up to the pelvis. She was trying to scream, but she was already losing too much blood, making her lose consciousness. We pulled her out, and I go to work, trying to stop her from bleeding out, but I can only keep her alive for about 15 minutes. The father and uncle held her hand as she never woke up from losing consciousness. Me and my Marines started collecting the body parts from the other daughters so the father and brother could bury their remains. Their ages were 4 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, and 6 years old. Fuck Afghanistan. There was a dead Iraqi guy on the ground halfway covered with a blanket after we shot him. I saw a pack of smokes in his shirt pocket, and I remember reaching in there and taking them so I could hand them out to the guys. I even gave some to the other Iraqi prisoners we were watching at the time. It was one of those weird moments thinking about it. How strange would it be if your dead body was laying there and some guy came out and took your pack of smokes out of your shirt pocket? That morning, like most mornings, you put your smokes in your jacket and go out to face the day. You get shot dead and some guy from another country casually takes them from you as you rot in the sun. It's weird. Hey guys, it's Gote here. Thank you so much for listening to this video. And please have some respect in the comment sections for these people's stories. They're very traumatic and I can't even imagine going through what they went through. But if you have any stories of your own, please send them to me via my personal email linked in the description below, and I will be sure to put them in one of my videos. So thank you so much for listening. Have a good quarantine day, and I will see you mates in the next episode.